December 4th, 2014. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 61 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, more bad news from Atlantic City. We talked about how the Taj Mahal is scheduled to close, still scheduled to close, as far as I know. They've actually closed down one of their towers, and they're not accepting credit anymore.
Oh,
and
God.
it's like
Although I still got some mail from them yesterday, right? Inviting me to come over.
Yeah, right hand, left hand kind of thing, right?
I guess.
So, but anyway. So the other news is that we had talked about on a previous episode that the Revel had been sold to this Toronto-based company, Brookfield Asset Management, out of Toronto, and they were going to buy the Revel for $110 million, a $2.4 million resort. Well, it turns out
$2.4 billion.
Did I say million?
You said million.
$2.4 billion.
They were going to pay $110 million.
Yeah. Well, they have backed out of this sale. They have canceled their plans to buy the Revel. And
so it's still available for us.
That's right. We actually had a listener asking if you were going to buy it.
Yeah, well, we get enough donations. We should all go together. We'll manage it.
That's right. And what did you made an offer for anybody who invests? They get like a free room for life. And what was it? Half price on well drinks?
Half price on well drinks. Yep.
That's a pretty good deal. Let's see if we can get enough investors out there to do this. So it is still available. Well, here's the reason that they're giving for this falling through. A spokesman said the decision stemmed from a disagreement with bondholders controlling debt related to Revel's power plant. Okay,
so Revel has a power plant.
Yeah, the cost of operating the plant, apparently, was one of the factors that kept Revel from becoming profitable. And my understanding is that they built this plant with the expectation that there would be more development around that area.
I gotcha.
Right, in Atlantic City.
And they were going to sell power to other facilities.
Right, and that development did not materialize.
Right.
So there was this huge power plant.
And they were just using the power themselves?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Why not close down the power plant and just buy power from the city?
Yeah, I don't know if that's an option because, they probably haven't made their money back they can't just close it down. Well, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. If it's losing money, you can just close it, take your loss,
that's
and
true.
Move on, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, obviously it's a more complicated manner than, we had originally heard. But so that's the reason that they're giving.
I got two things to say about that. I've never heard of a power plant losing money. I mean, if they can't sell it around there, they can sell it to other places.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you put it on the grid, right? I mean, you make money.
I don't know.
The other thing I got to say is the way they're going in Atlantic City, I think there's going to be an earthquake and Atlantic City will just fall off into the ocean.
Really?
Yeah, like California was supposed to do back in the 70s.
That might actually, solve their problems. Maybe,
then there's just no Atlantic
insurance.
City.
Yeah. That's good. Well, we'll see what happens.
Maybe Lex Luthor can.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? Maybe Lex Luthor will take care of that. Well, Glenn Straub, he was the Florida developer who tried to buy it through this bankruptcy court and actually lost the auction to Brookfield. And he says he's still interested in the property. Now, Straub was the one who said he probably wasn't going to keep it as a casino, but instead it was going to be like this academic think tank.
Okay.
Like this campus, that he was going to create. So who knows? He may be still in the running, but
they can figure out what to do with the power plant.
Maybe that's
and how to have an earthquake there so it can fall off in the ocean.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I mean, it's bad news for Atlantic City, certainly from the casino standpoint.
Yeah.
And, people who were maybe hoping to get their jobs back or, So.
I wonder what other casinos, the ones that are left, think about all this. I mean, do they see this as a positive thing? Like, hey, we'll get more business. There's fewer casinos. Or do they see this as, because sometimes when your competitors all close down, everything dies and nobody comes, right? Uh-huh. Instead of like the same amount of people come, they just come to you. So it could go either way. I wonder what they think about it.
That's a good question. Hey, the Trippies are out. So the Trippies are annual awards that are given out by Vegas Tripping, the website Vegas Tripping. And we have been nominated for Best Podcast.
Oh, great.
So that's quite an honor. And the voting now is going on right now at vegastripping.com. So if you're so inclined, please head on over to Vegas Tripping. And on their main page there, you'll probably see a link for the Trippies. And go in there. It's actually, you vote on a lot of different Vegas-related items, like, best hotel, best casino, worst hotel, worst casino. I don't think they have a worst podcast.
Woo! We're lucky.
It's only best podcast, so that's good. So
we're nominated for both, best and worst.
That's right. So, so if you have a chance, head on over to Vegas Tripping. The voting's going on right now. I think it's going on for the first couple of weeks here in December. So, that'd be great if you could head on over there, give us a vote. I'm sure we won't win.
No.
Because 500 always wins.
Right.
They've got a lot more listeners than we do, but who knows? Maybe it'd be like an upset. So.
An upset, yeah. We'll be like the Chargers or something, right?
What, you mean how?
Upset Baltimore, how we upset Baltimore last week.
Oh, yeah. We'll be like the Chargers.
Yeah, last second we'll get a couple of votes and put us over the top.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just like we went to the Super Bowl and surprised everybody.
Yeah, it didn't work out so well for us.
Hey, this last week we were up at Harrah's, Southern California. And we've mentioned this before, but when we get up there, we're just ready to gamble. Gamble. And then when we're done gambling, we're usually hungry. Now, by then, all the restaurants have closed except for the cafe. And we told you last time.
It's usually 2 to 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's like late. Mm-hmm. We told you last time how gross that experience was. So we generally just leave and we get something to eat on the way home. So at the craps table, we were telling all the dealers, oh, yeah, we're going to stop at McDonald's, get filet of fish tonight. You like filet of fish?
Yeah, it's a special on Friday nights.
That's right. Friday, it's cheaper, right? You like filet of fish? So we were kind of grossing the dealers out saying, yeah, we're going to eat filet of fish on the way home,
You especially when you said you were going to get 3. No human should eat 3 filet of fish at one setting.
That's right. So anyway, we finished up. We got out of the casino about 2:45, something like that in the morning. And we've done this before, where we've gone,
quite
even
regularly.
Yeah. So we pull up.
My dad wasn't with us this time. He usually berates us the whole way about what idiots we are for going to McDonald's.
Exactly.
And we should just have got something at the casino.
So we pull up to the drive-thru. And I don't know, we're going to order like a 10 filet of fish between us or something like that. So you pull up and you immediately start ordering filet of fish. It's about $3.15.
Yeah.
And the guy says, oh, sorry, we're only serving breakfast.
$3.15. I guess at 3.
3, they switch over to breakfast. That's too early.
It's way too early.
Especially on a weekend. You'd think there'd be a lot of people, who have the munchies late at night, right?
Right. 2 o'clock, you just, left the bar or whatever, right? I mean, you're not going to, you don't want breakfast. That's at 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to get breakfast. We didn't get our filet of fish.
Yeah, I missed that too. And the thing is, it's not just the filet of fish. You can't get a hamburger. You can't get
right.
You can't get anything but breakfast.
That's right. It's not. Yeah, that's the thing with McDonald's. The next step in their evolution is going to be serving all their menu all day long.
You like Jack in the Box.
Like Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Exactly.
McDonald's should do that, number 1.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing they should do, they should make that McRib permanent.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you, Mike, I just don't understand
you don't like
the McRib. It's so disgusting. And every 5 years, I'll think, I haven't had a McRib in a while. And then I order it. I can't stand it.
It's the chewy, rubbery texture I like.
You do?
Yeah.
You don't like it in fish and chips, but
I
you
don't like it on my fish, but I like it on my pork.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to more gambling. Let's talk about our next show. So we usually record every other Wednesday night, and I post the episode on Thursdays. So every other Thursday, we have a new episode coming out. Well, it just so happens that 2 weeks from tonight, when we're recording, is the day that you're scheduled to go in for surgery on your back.
Correct.
Right? So, and it's an overnight stay.
Yeah,
right?
I go in Wednesday morning and I get out Thursday afternoon or something.
And we can't really record any earlier than that just because of the way our schedule works. So our next episode will probably be delayed, hopefully maybe just a few days. Maybe that weekend if you're up for it.
Yeah.
We can get together and record it.
I can lay in bed on my stomach and
I'll set up some kind of situation here where you're in your iron lung and I've got
I'll be on one of those like massage tables with my head through the hole. Just put the microphone down below the hole.
Good. And on that,
you'll be laying under the massage table looking up.
No, I won't. So our next episode will be delayed. And on that episode, we'll talk about the trip to Vegas that you're taking this weekend that we've mentioned.
Right.
Again, you're leaving Friday night, December 5th. Are you going early? You're probably not going to get there early.
Well, no, actually, it turns out I have to go to the hospital for some pre-op tests. So as soon as I'm done with that, we're leaving. I'm hoping 4:00.
All right. So it's going to be, like 10 o'clock before you get there. Well,
Probably.
maybe 9 o'clock, but depending on traffic. Okay. But the point is you're going to be available maybe to meet up with listeners just on that Saturday, basically.
Saturday, yeah.
Right?
Because Sunday, we're not sure what time we're coming home. So yeah, Saturday would be the best time.
So Saturday the 6th, you're going to be at Caesar's Palace. You're probably not going to be playing anywhere else.
Probably not going to play anywhere else.
Okay. And you're going for the Great Gift Wrap-Up. When are you going to go buy your stuff?
Well, that starts at 10.
Yeah.
But there's always a huge line. So we were thinking maybe around 11-ish going up there, between 11 and 12. So I'll probably be at the craps tables, let's say by 1. And I'll be there till at least like 5:36.
Okay, so in the afternoon. All right, very good. So again, I'll be in contact with you, and I will tweet your information, depending on where you are and what you might be wearing, that kind of thing. Oh, and that reminds me too, even if you are not you do not have a Twitter account, or you're just not familiar with Twitter, you can still see our tweets if you're able to access the internet. If you just go to twitter.com/youcanbetonThat, you don't have to be a member of Twitter or have an account or anything. You can still see our tweets there.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to kind of tell
see
where.
On your phone.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I'll be tweeting to let everybody know where you are. Okay, good. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonThat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. Hey, we got some listener calls. Let's go to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our voicemail hotline. Maybe we'll put your clip on the show. The number's 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS.
951-2-WAGERS.
All right, let's go to our first call.
What's up, guys? It's your new favorite caller, Ryan. I thought I would drop you a quick little story from the past, but I thought this is the one time ever where I just behaved badly at the table. Took it too far, got out of control, and the one time I thought security might actually try to scare me or do something to me. Basically, we were at a craps table, and the shooter was hot. Turned out to be 37 rolls before he 7'd out. So it was a great roll. Somewhere in the middle of it, I throw money on the 011 because the shooter did, and it was before he got the dice. But they said no. They said no bet, and he rolled it. And it was only $1 bet, but I was just so mad about it. I was so mad about it, and half the table was kind of arguing for me, like, hey, you didn't have the dice set. I want you to pay him. And we had been playing there for a while. It was a crowded table downtown. So what happened was they didn't pay me. I got angry. So every time, he would hit the 4 or 5, anytime I was collecting some money, whatever it was, $6, $7, I would just celebrate over the top. And then one time I swung my arm and I hit the pit boss's, with a female, her arm, and she dropped her water bottle. She started holding her arm like, And, I was really afraid. They brought security over, but nothing happened. The roll ended. And at the end, they ended up paying me for that Yo 11 bet because I whined about it so much. But afterwards, I had to apologize to my friends when we got back to it. Like, man, that was the one time I went too much, man. Thanks again for the show, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks, Ryan. I'm wondering why they didn't book the yo.
Yeah.
Sometimes on a crowded table, when there's a lot of action going on,
right,
the dealers will say, get your bet in early,
right,
and then if they're about to send the dice.
Right,
and
if they've actually started to move them a little bit, not that he's got him yet,
right,
but they've just started to move him, sometimes they won't book your bets.
Yeah, if maybe a lot of people have been making late bets, right, and it's getting to be a problem. Now, we weren't there, so who knows what was going on, but I'm surprised they didn't book it.
And it could have been something like there was some miscommunication about what it was, what the bet actually was.
It could be, sure.
Right.
Or if it was...
Because if a dealer doesn't understand what the bet is...
Yeah.
like you say something and say you misspoke or you're garbled or, you're trying to talk to your buddy at the same time and it just doesn't come across clear, they won't book it. They have to know exactly what you said.
Yeah, they'll say no bet. Yeah.
Right. But that's a ticky-tack thing too.
Who knows here? What's the most belligerent you've gotten at the table?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what you call bad behavior. I mean, I've knocked over a barmaid with all a tray full of drinks and stuff. That's pretty bad.
That was more stupidity than belligerence, though.
That was more stupidity and just clumsiness than anything else.
I'm trying to think, watching you, sometimes if you're having a real bad trip, you'll be real short with the dealers.
Yeah, I can do that.
I've seen that.
I've been short.
I've never seen you get really angry.
No, I mean, I've never flat out said to anybody like you suck. But I've thought that a lot about dealers.
Here's probably the worst that you got. Now that I'm thinking about it. We were playing, it was a Texas Hold'em based table game, right? It wasn't a poker game. It was one of those, house games based on Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
And there was a side bet that you could make on what your first two cards were going to be. Right. And so if it was like a pair or if it was real good, like ace king or ace king suited, you get paid at odds. Right.
Okay.
And we were at Venetian and the dealer was going real fast and you didn't have time to make that side bet that you wanted to.
I remember this now.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And the cards had been dealt down to you and you didn't know what they were yet. And you asked if you could make the bet and the dealer wouldn't let you do it and the pit boss wouldn't let you do it. And you turned over your cards and it was ace king suited.
Yeah.
And you got pretty mad at that, and rightfully so, because you did not have a chance to get your bet out.
No, I remember that. They were dealing so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you could barely collect your winnings from the other, and make your regular bet, and the cards are already out. It's like,
you were the only one playing, so that was the thing, right? He was going like super fast.
Yeah, it was like they didn't want you to make the bet, right? Usually they wait for you. Yeah, I remember that now. I was pretty upset about that.
That's probably the worst you've got.
I haven't.
How about me? Have you ever seen me get super mad at the table?
No, but when you get drunk, you get loud.
Yeah, but I'm hilarious.
I don't know about hilarious. There's a fine line between hilarious and obnoxious. And you've come to that line several times. But it always turns out to be hilarious.
Yeah, because we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ryan. All right, one last call.
Mark and Dr. Mike, I just wanted to give you an update on a local casino trip I just made. I was in Minnesota visiting family for Thanksgiving, and I stopped in at Mystic Lake Casino in Prior Lake, Minnesota. It's kind of a depressing situation. They have no craps. They have video roulette only, and the only table game that they offer is Blackjack. All of their Blackjack paid 3 to 2. They had $1, $5, and $10 on the floor. If you played the dollar Blackjack, there was a quarter ante on every hand. And also the other thing that was kind of sad was the table max was $199. I thought this was a little small and a little odd why they didn't make it 200 or maybe 1,000 like most casinos. It seems strange. I went into their high limit room and they did have $1,000 max in there, $25, $150 table. All in all, wasn't a great casino trip. Lost $150, but hey, can't win them all. Oh, one other thing I thought that every casino should do that they do, they had a slot dog. They had a lady walking around with a cart with Nathan's hot dogs, and they were only $1. I'm happy to say I had 3 of them over the course of my losing adventure. All right, guys, thanks.
All right, thanks, Adam. Well, the hot dogs, that's good. Plus, they're Nathan hot dogs, right?
I'm listening to that and I'm thinking to myself, now, Adam's the kind of guy I could hang out with, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, some hot dogs while you're playing? That's great. And, you lost $150 and you had 3 hot dogs.
Yeah.
All God, I'd have to eat like about 300 hot dogs, I guess. And I'd try. I mean, I'd give it a go.
Well, he said that, so the dollar blackjack at Mystic Lake, you have to pay a 25-cent fee for every hand. Every hand.
That's a terrible thing.
So that means every 4 hands, you're losing an entire bet.
An entire bet.
Every 4 hands.
Right.
That's awful.
It's terrible. And why would anyone do that?
Well, here's the thing, and it's kind of deceptive. I went to their website after we got this call, right? Uh-huh. And you go to the blackjack area, and they have this logo that says dollar blackjack, right? And you click on it, and it says, Mystic Lake is the only, and only is all in capitals, right?
Okay.
Mystic Lake is the only casino in Minnesota featuring $1 blackjack. No special times, no special dates, just $1 blackjack, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's all it says when you click on that link, right? Now,
so sounds great, right? Like most
Exactly.
things that sound great.
It's like, wow, $1 blackjack,
yeah.
that's pretty good. So if you go to another page on their site where it talks about their house rules, buried way deep down in the rules, it says a 25-cent each round of play on any table with a $1 minimum wager.
Right.
So even if you're at that dollar table and you decide to suddenly bet $10, you still have to pay the quarter fee, right?
Right.
But even so, I mean, it is worthless.
Yeah.
This
it's
whole
terrible.
big thing about, $1 blackjack, that's great. 25 cents.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. A good thing Silver Slipper didn't have this back when we were like 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
Remember, I won 18 hands in a row of blackjack. Quarter for each one of those hands,
Oh, it
right?
would have been terrible, right?
Yeah.
That's 18. What was that? $4?
$4.
A little bit more than $4,
Yeah.
$4.50. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would have only won $13.50.
Yeah, and that's after, winning that many in a row, right?
Right.
Figure you, all right, let's say it was a 50-50 game, which is
Right.
more generous than it really is, of course.
Right.
But yeah, that would be, okay, I played 4 hands. I, won one, lost one, won one, lost one. I'm down $1. All right, well, thanks for the call, Adam. All right, this is actually a pretty good segue, talking about stupid casinos, because this last week, when we were driving home from the casino, you thought it might be good to just talk about how stupid casinos are.
Yeah.
And what prompted this was one of our favorite dealers up at Harrah's, Southern California. She just recently left to go work at a different casino.
Right.
Right. And we were asking her if she was going to come back to Harrah's, Southern California and maybe play, at the craps table.
She
right?
lives closer to the new casino.
Yeah.
But you can't play at the casino where you work for obvious reasons.
That makes sense.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, they just don't want, a dealer dealing to you one day and the next day standing next to you playing.
Yeah.
But you are allowed to go to other places and play. So a lot of the dealers, we see them at other casinos playing. So, we see these other guys out playing at other places. So we ask, well, you going to come back here and play? Because, we'd like to sit with her at the table and play.
Yeah.
And she says, well, maybe sometime. And I said, what does that mean? She says, well, they have rules about how long it is a wait time before you can come back and play at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what? I mean, once you're not working there, you're not working there.
Yeah.
Right?
Why?
And she said, well, some people they let come back after a few weeks. Some it's months. It just depends on if they like you.
Okay.
That was her answer.
I mean, I don't know how you. I'm trying to think of the reason. Okay, it's
Right.
like, okay, well, yeah, you have friends that are dealers there
Right.
that you've worked with.
Sure.
But, I mean, players like us, we consider a lot of the dealers out there friends. And what is like a month or 2 months?
Right.
How does that make a difference, right?
What,
if you come back.
if you came back 2 weeks later, they cheat for you. But if you came back 2 months later, they wouldn't cheat for you.
Yeah,
or,
right.
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense at all. It is the stupidest thing.
I wonder if maybe there's something we don't know. You're right. It is stupid. I'm trying to think of why it happens. Is it a law? If it's a law, it's a stupid law. Is it a corporate policy? Then that's stupid, right? I don't know who's responsible.
It's just stupid. And we were talking about this. That's what's got us started. But there are so many things that casinos do that are stupid.
Yeah.
That don't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the one we just talked about. In one way, it's great. They have a lady coming around with hot dogs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great marketing. It's a good thing. But then they're going to take 25 cents on your dollar bet.
I wonder, and maybe Adam can call us back or email us, because I wonder how many people were playing that dollar blackjack.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you really want to play blackjack.
I mean, I'd just as soon go to the $5 table, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah,
you'd
for your
probably-
bankroll, the $5 table would be better.
Yeah, you'd probably end up, in the long run, doing better there than playing $1 and getting 25 cents taken out.
I wonder if they have blackjack machines there. Some of the video poker machines
Right.
also have blackjack on them. Even that would be better, right?
Sure,
it probably wouldn't
certainly.
charge.
Right,
And
no.
it'd probably be $1 minimum or maybe even less.
Right. I think the casino thinks if they're going to have dollar blackjack, they've got that dealer standing there. They need to make more money than the dollar.
Yeah.
So this is their way of increasing their revenue.
Sure, I'm sure you're right.
My answer to that is to just have $3 blackjack.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Get rid of the VIG and just have $3 or $2. I mean, why $1?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right. Any other stupid casino things you want to talk about on this episode?
No, I could go on. I mean, every week I should tell you.
That should be a segment.
Yeah, the stupid thing we saw at a casino this week on the casino's part.
All right, let's jump to the email. We got an email from Todd. He was asking about players banking games. Now, years ago, when we would play Pai Gow poker out here at the Indian casinos, the house was not allowed to bank the game, so players had to bank the games. And so Todd was kind of curious about how that worked. He said, hey guys, in several episodes you've talked about players banking table games. From what I can gather from your shows, a player would be responsible for collecting other players' losing bets and paying other players' winning bets. I would think this would be a fabulous position for the person banking because they would benefit from the house edge. Kind of. Yeah, kind of. I'll go on here. Todd says, I'd be curious to hear some details about it or problems with it. For example, what would happen if the banker didn't have enough money to cover the bets? Even in a simple game like Blackjack, there could be a number of splits and double downs such that there's a lot more money on the table at decision time than when the deal occurred. Anyway, it seems too good to be true, and someone with a decent enough bankroll would always want a bank to be in an advantageous position. So, yes, this was actually pretty lucrative back in the 90s, at least in California.
It's a lot more complicated than you would think, though.
It is. Now, as far as the Pai Gow poker that we would bank, it was nice because we would, if you were the bank, you only had to pay $2 commission, no matter how much was in your bank. You could have $10,000 in your bank and it would only be $2 commission, right? So that might have been, that $2 might have been less than the house edge that you have in Pai Gow with the copy advantage.
Sure.
It might be. That could be debatable or whatever. Yeah. But first, let's talk about how things would work if the bank did not have enough money to cover all the bets on the table.
Which frequently did happen.
This actually happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what it comes down to. Once all the money in the bank has seen action, then action stops, and whoever is still left, they either don't lose or don't win.
Yeah, it's just
because there's no more money for
them.
And by seeing action, an example will help kind of explain this. Here's a simple example. Let's say there was $100 in the bank, okay? And there were 3 players at the table, each betting $50, okay?
Yep.
So let's say the first player wins, okay? His $50. So $50 comes out of the bank and pays him off, okay?
Right. So the bank now has $50 left.
But more importantly, $50 of the bank has seen action.
Right.
Okay.
So there's only $50 in the bank. So they can only have $50 more action.
So, right. So let's say that second player loses. Okay, right. So the bank now gets $50.
Right.
Okay.
And that $50 is seen action. The bank is done.
Right, because $100 has seen action. Even though the bank now has $100 in it. They won one and they lost one. $100 worth of action has occurred.
Right. And so the third person, whether he has a winning hand or losing hand, doesn't get anything. It's over.
It's over. Right. That's how it would work out. So sometimes the money would not reach every player. And what they would do is they would shake the Pai Gow dice to determine who would get first action. So it wouldn't always be, the person to the dealer's left.
As luck would have it, sometimes the bank, let's say you had $100 in your bank and the first person bet $150.
Yes.
Okay, so if that first person won, all your 100 would go to him. We're done.
Yes, right.
Nobody else matters. If that first person loses, then they would take $100 of his 150 and give it to the bank.
Yep.
And then it's done.
That'd be over.
He keeps his 50 and everyone else gets no decision.
Yep, right.
So it was an interesting game in that, a lot of times it's just luck. We plenty of times had a bank and unfortunately the first person was the guy that had the best hand.
Yeah, right.
And we'd lose.
Right.
And then other times the first person was the guy who, had a terrible hand and we'd win. Like we'd have king high and they'd have queen high and we'd win the bank. All the other hands would have beat us, but it never got to them because we didn't have enough money in the bank.
And there were times when we were the player and we'd have a terrible hand, but then there was not enough money to get to us. And it's like, phew, we didn't lose anything.
Or other times when we had a terrible hand and we were first action, what they call first action, and we had to lose.
Or we had a winning hand and there was no money
and there
for
was
us.
no
right?
money
so it worked
for
both
us.
ways. One thing that did happen, though, if you were a player and there was no money left when it got to you, you did not have to pay your VIG for the next hand.
Right. It's like a refund on your VIG.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that was one
Which
thing.
is good.
Yeah. Oh, they had to. They had to do that.
I mean, you don't want to pay for something you didn't get.
Right. Now, we didn't play as much blackjack, but it was the same kind of thing in blackjack. If the money ran out. Yeah. The difference, though, that we at least witnessed was there were teams of blackjack banks out there every day at the casino saying, here, I will bank at this table. And people would be paid to just sit there and bank these blackjack games because it was lucrative.
It was very lucrative.
Yeah.
Right.
They would have to pay a small VIG that was certainly less than the house edge that they had dealing the blackjack, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the house liked that because, it made things a lot less complicated if there was just one person banking all this.
Yeah. And now everybody at the table did have the option to bank.
Right.
So if somebody else wanted to bank, say at the blackjack table, they did have that option. Usually they wouldn't take that option if there was a big bank at the table.
Right.
But if they did.
A lot of times they didn't take that option because the big bank was instructed at that point to bet against them.
Well, the big bank had to bet. They had to make at least I think they would bet the minimum.
Right.
So that they would have the option of banking the next time. You have to have played like the previous hand if you wanted to bank.
But I saw it where they would put their whole roll out there to wipe the guy out.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Well, that ends his banking.
Well, yeah, it ends his banking, but then suddenly you're... Really? You saw that?
I've seen that. I saw that quite a bit.
Well, that seems wrong to me.
If he would have $100, they'd have 10,000.
Yeah, I understand.
He would say, "Oh, I'm in a bank." Well, even if they lost the 100, the next time he banked, he'd have 200. Eventually they wipe him out.
Yeah,
right?
well, sure.
Eventually
yeah,
they get a winning hand, and he goes away,
out,
and that's why nobody banks.
Yeah, okay,
right?
Yeah, you're right. I see. That does make sense.
Yeah, and there's very few people who would actually, win their 100 and leave, get up and leave. Right? They stay there. I'm going to take advantage. Yeah, and you just can't do that against the big bank.
Okay, yeah, that does make sense.
Paul and I saw that quite a bit.
Okay, all right. Todd has another question too. He said, my wife and I play mostly at $5 tables, sometimes $10 if there are no $5 available. The lower limit tables are often busy, but it seems that there's always the guy and his wife is just watching, or the young guy and 2 or 3 of his buddies are standing there, also only just watching. What's a good way to ask or nudge or whatever it takes to get the non-player to move? Usually I stand there for a couple of throws and make sure that the player truly is not playing. Then after a 7 out, I try to be polite and ask, can I get in here? The person always moves, but I always feel a little odd about it. I think that's one good way to do it.
No, I think he approached it perfectly. Yeah. You know what I do? And this happens quite often, right? I want on a craps table and there's some guy and his wife standing there taking up a spot or his buddies or whatever. I usually, like you, wait till the 7 out.
Sure, and
then you know what I say? Is someone playing here?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this is my first, is someone playing here?
Yeah.
And they usually say, oh, no. And I say, oh, do you mind if I?
Yeah. Or I'll just say, is there room here?
Yeah.
It's just something
and then
like
people
that.
will always move.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to go about it. Sure. It's the same thing at a blackjack table, too. Is there a spot open? Just kind of like that, right?
Yeah, it's better than, you're not betting, get out.
Yeah, that's right. I know some players that would do that.
Yeah, we do know some people like that.
All right, thanks for the questions, Todd. Got another email from listener Brian. He said, congrats on the fire bet. Just curious, with the big score, do you think you are up lifetime on the fire bet? So for new listeners, when we were in Vegas back in October, we each had $10 on the fire bet in craps, and we each won $10,000. So now Brian is asking, in our life, are we ahead for the fire bet?
Probably.
Do you want to hear the real answer? Because I did the math.
Oh, you did the math?
And I never told you about this.
Yeah, but I would say, are you including all the 4s?
Oh, yeah, I'm including all the 4s and 5s.
Okay, then tell me. I'm closing my eyes. I don't really want to hear this, but go ahead and tell me.
I know.
Just let me believe that we're up.
We're not up for the fire bet. I took into account, the times when statistically we would hit 4, 5 of the fire bet, how long we've been doing it, how many hours we spend out there every week.
You've got way too much time on your hands.
Well, see, I didn't bring it up till now, so it's,
okay. What's the answer? Just give it to me.
well, I don't have a figure.
Oh, you don't have
but
a number.
I just went through and once I got to 10,000, it's like, okay, we're not ahead for this bet. Sorry to break the bad
we
news.
haven't won 10,000. I mean, just 10,000 because we've hit some 5s. And we've hit a ton
I
of
took
4s.
that into account.
You did, okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's still not up. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not a statistician.
I know that.
Or a mathematician.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm ahead for the fire bet.
All right, let's just say that you are. So, Brian, the answer is yep. We're up big time for the fire bet. Woo!
Always going to make that bet.
All right, Brian had another question. I was wondering what you thought of a strategy I saw at the Sunset Station several months back. It's funny. Now, last night, our friend Mary was asking me if we'd ever been to Sunset Station. We did go there.
Yeah, we went there. We went to all the stations.
We went to all the stations.
One trip, we decided we were going to go to all the stations.
Yep.
We went to them all.
Yeah, we rented a car. We went to them all. So that
Yep.
was one of them. Anyway, so back to Brian's email. I was playing with one other guy, and we were both playing the fire bet. The other guy was rolling and backing his pass line with max odds until he hit his 3rd unique point. When he established his 4th unique point, he did not bet the odds. The dealer pointed it out to him, and the shooter's response was that his fire bet was now his odds. On one hand, this made sense to me. If you hit the point, you get 25 times or more back for the fire bet. On the other hand, I always try to bet with the purpose of being aggressive so that when that oh-so-elusive hot roll comes along, I can take advantage rather than regret missing out. Thoughts on this? I think I should have taken odds.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you're talking about the way I played. Play aggressive, take advantage of the hot roll. You're on a good roll. Why wouldn't you take odds?
It doesn't make sense because, the odds are my fire bet. Okay, well, if you win the fire bet and you have odds, you win both of them.
Right. And if you lose and don't hit that 4th number and don't win the fire bet, yeah, you lost a little less because you didn't take odds.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Now, the only time I would say don't take odds, well, it was like when we were on the fire bet, when I had established our 6th number.
Right.
So we're up on that 6th number.
Right.
You laid against it. It was a 5. You laid against it.
Well, then you don't take odds.
So of course you don't take odds. You're just you're contradicting yourself. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Of course. But if I hadn't laid against it, I would have taken full odds.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So no, this doesn't make any sense to us.
Well, as far as the fire bet goes, I'm just going to say, I know, even without being a mathematician or statistician, I know enough math that I know that it's not a good bet, and
like
we're not up for it.
It's like a 25% house hedge.
Right. I mean, it's one of the worst bets. But you know what? It's fun to do. And there's no better feeling than when you hit it or when you get close to it.
Yeah.
So, it's like going to the racetrack and taking the long shot for $5.
Yeah.
Right? You're probably not going to win that bet, but when you do, it feels so good. And if you did that every race, every time you went to the track, in the long run, you'd lose a ton of money.
Yeah.
But, it's $5. You have fun. If they give you a free hot dog, consider that $5 that you bet on the fire bet, your pay for the free hot dog.
That sounds good. Yeah. All right. That sounds good. All right. Another question from Brian. I would be interested to hear a discussion about hedging in terms of sports betting. For example, let's say you had a 3-team parlay that paid 6-1 and you'll already hit the first 2 legs. If you had time, would you hedge? So, for example, let's say you had a 3-team parlay and your last game was like the Monday night game. So you had time to actually, hedge
you could go make another bet. Right.
Would you hedge? If not, what would you need the odds to be before you would advise hedging? Our philosophy basically is to not hedge, ever. The exception, I believe, is when you're talking about a once in a lifetime or not very often kind of a payout.
As far as sports betting goes, you're talking about
or anything, sports betting, or even like the fire bet, right? Where you hedged against the 5, right?
Because I knew I was going to win something.
Right. And it was $10,000. And how often are you going to win the fire bet?
Right.
But let's say it is a 6-1 payout. Now, if you're betting sports all the time, right? And you're doing these 3-team parlays. I would say never hedge.
No.
Right? Because
no.
you're just killing yourself. Because every once in a while you're going to hit it.
Right.
Right? So,
and if you're doing it all the time, you obviously have some knack for it. Right? I mean, you'd obviously know what you're doing.
Yeah. Now, if it were something else, if you had like a 12-team parlay.
Right. Now that would be different.
Yeah.
And you've hit 11 of the 12.
Right.
And your 12th is the Monday night game. Yeah, then I'd lay something. And we had an instance in the Super Bowl where we kind of hedged our bets by betting 2 different bets. One when the line first came out and one right before the game when the line had changed significantly.
But that wasn't really a hedge.
No, it wasn't a hedge.
Yeah.
It was just a way for us to guarantee us a win.
Yeah. But I would say we don't have a figure, a specific amount. I would just say if it is, certainly life-changing money, if it is money that you don't see coming your way very often.
Right.
But, if it's the kind of thing that you're doing all the time, even if the odds are long, if it's something you do all the time, don't hedge.
If you had $100 on a 3-team parlay and you were going to win $600 if it hit.
Yeah.
And then what would you go bet on that Monday night game? Why not just hope it wins and get your $600?
Unless it's the only sports bet you're going to make in your whole life.
Right.
Then you could hedge. Right. Or, let's say that you've decided, you know what? I'm just going to put my life savings on a blackjack hand, which, by the way, we don't recommend. But let's say you did something like that, right? And you were dealt a blackjack and the dealer had an ace up and he said, do you want insurance? Yeah, go ahead and take the even money on that. All right.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully you're at a 3-2 table. But, because, it's your life savings. But so anyway, we don't really have a figure. All right. Brian's got one last question. When the girls say 9, 5, 1, 2 wagers, there are 2 taps immediately after. What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
All right, here,
I don't even know.
All right,
what
let's
that
take a
is.
listen to that again.
9, 5, 1, 2 wagers.
Okay, you heard those 2 kind of loud taps there at the end. It's probably blaring through everybody's headphones, right? Okay, so when we decided we were going to get your daughters to do this,
right?
What happened was I came over to your house. We were going to go to the casino, and
we were standing outside.
Yeah, I just came over to carpool, and everybody was outside. So I thought, oh, this will be a good chance to get the girls to say this.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my little mini recorder and got out and said, okay, girls, say 9, 5, 1, 2 wagers. So they kept messing up and getting the numbers wrong. They were laughing and kind of doing it right. And we caught them in the middle. They were playing some kind of game, but come here, do it real quick. So finally they got it right. They said 9, 5, 1, 2. And right about that time, your older daughter had this ball in her hand.
Okay.
And she just bounced it twice. Yeah. She wasn't,
it was
even
probably
thinking.
A basketball. They were probably
I think it was actually a harder ball. It was like some kind of small, like a
small rubbery
wiffle ball or something like that. But that was it. She probably wasn't even thinking about it. Here I am very, carefully, and I probably didn't notice it.
Right.
And I've heard, every time I listen to it, I think, boy, I wonder if I should try to, take that out of the recording. And I've never bothered to. So I won't ever. We'll just leave it in there.
That's just Ruby bouncing a ball.
That's all it is. It's just her bouncing the ball while she's doing her recording. Just mindlessly kind of bouncing the ball.
She's multitasking. Mystery
solved. All right. Thanks, Brian. We got one last email from Adam over at the Vegas Fanboy podcast. He said, I had a buddy stay with me out here in Detroit during the week of Thanksgiving, and he snuck away for the afternoon while I was with family and headed to the MGM Grand to play some blackjack with another friend of ours.
What a great Thanksgiving for him.
I know. How many casinos did you go to on Thanksgiving?
0.
0 for me, too. The minimums were $15, which isn't too bad, and the table featured the perfect pairs side bet. He said they had some fun playing it, and another guy at the table actually went on a good run and made quite a bit of money on the bet. Anyway, I thought this blackjack variant may be a good topic for your show. And then he goes on to say, because my show's pretty sophisticated, and that kind of topic really doesn't belong on my shows. Maybe more better suited for your show.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, okay, he did not say that. But actually, yeah, this is a good kind of a side bet to talk about. What it is, it's a side bet that you make before the hand is dealt to you. And it's a bet that your first 2 cards are going to be a pair. Okay. So there's a pay table that will determine how much you're going to get paid based on what your pair is.
Right.
Okay.
And that varies from casino to casino?
Yes.
Or?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, the rank doesn't matter. So, a pair of queens is no different than a pair of deuces than a pair of tens.
It's just
anything
a
like
pair.
That. Right. Okay. So if you don't have a pair on your first 2 cards, you just lose the bet.
Right. Okay.
If you have a pair that are two different colors,
A red one, a heart and a club, a red and a black.
a red and a black, pair of sixes, pair of whatever, just any kind of pair that's a red or a black. Some casinos you'll get 5-1, some casinos 6-1. Okay. If the pair is the same color but different suits,
Like a 6 of hearts and a 6 of diamonds.
right? Then you get, it depends on the casino, 10-1, 12-1. Some casinos pay 15-1.
Wow.
But that's if it's the same color,
Quite a variance.
different
10
suits.
to 1 to 15 to 1?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. If the pair is the exact same suit, and obviously this can only happen when it's multiple decks.
Right. They call it a perfect pair.
It's called a perfect pair. So you had a 3 of clubs and a 3 of clubs. That's a perfect pair. That'll pay either 25-1 or 30-1.
Why the difference in casinos? Because usually these games are figured out mathematically.
It is.
And they all have the same payout.
It's just an option. A lot of these side bets, the companies that come up with them do give the casinos the option to
make it worse.
Yeah, right. To make
it worse for the player.
Yeah, depending on what they want to do, right? So that's as simple as it is. Now, depending on which pay table you're dealing with and the number of decks in the game.
Yeah, because that could definitely make a huge difference.
That can make a huge difference. The house edge on this bet can be anywhere between 2 and 14%. So quite a range there. Right?
So they wouldn't play this with a single deck anywhere.
Well, you couldn't play it with a single deck because you could never get a
pair.
perfect pair. Yeah. So I
We
think
pay $1 million to 1 if you get a perfect
hey, that's
pair.
great. So I suspect that actually I've never seen this bet in Las Vegas.
No,
so
neither have I.
If anybody has seen it in Las Vegas, let us know. But I would suspect that they'd probably be using like a 6-deck or an 8-deck shoe, for a
most
game like this, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the basic strategy for this bet? The basic strategy would be don't make this bet. Like any side bet,
Right.
it's, even 2% is a pretty high house edge. So, it's up to you. It's a fun, goofy bet. So, bet it if you want to, but keep in mind that, it's got a high house edge.
As always, though, it's like, you hear this story where he says his friend, had fun playing it, and another guy went on a good run and actually made quite a bit of money,
Right.
which can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So in that guy's mind, it's the best bet in the house, right?
So if you want to throw a buck out there,
Right.
fine. Yeah, exactly. I suspect you might be able to come up with some kind of system where you could count cards for this bet.
Possibly.
To determine how many pairs have come out or, I don't know how you go about it. Now, I actually found nothing online to talk about it, but I suspect maybe you could count against
I'm
this
sure a good
wager.
counter might be able to do that.
Yeah. As always, the Wizard of Odds has a section on his website devoted to this wager, and he breaks down all the pay tables and all the payouts and all the percentages and everything. So I'll link to that in the show notes.
Good.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Yeah. So Adam over at Vegas Fanboy Podcast, it's just like we keep shouting out to each other. He talks about us on his show. We talk about him on our show. So we're going to have to meet up with him sometime. You guys are going to miss each other by 1 week.
Yeah.
That's
in Vegas.
too bad. We'll catch up with him eventually.
We'll try and meet in like Minnesota.
Yeah, there you go.
Detroit's close.
Yeah, you say, hey, we'll play some dollar blackjack over at Mystic Lake. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to download our app for your mobile device. You'll get access to all our episodes, quick links to contact us via Twitter, Facebook, email, and our voicemail hotline, and you'll get bonus audio. On the bonus audio for this episode, you have a nice story about a gentleman that you saw at the buffet.
Yeah, another buffet story.
With our app, you'll also get TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. I update those listings every Wednesday using a program I wrote myself to search through all the raw American TV data. The bonus audio and the TV listings are only available on our app. To download it, go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and on the left-hand side of the page, click on the link that says how to download our app. We have a link for Android devices and another one for iPhones and iPads. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-2-WAGERS, or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino. And we'd love to meet up with you, and I'm going to be tweeting on your behalf this Saturday.
Yep.
Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review for us. Supposedly, when you do, it gets us more listeners.
Hopefully.
Dr. Mike?
Well, this week, in closing, I want to say this. As many crappy things as there are in the world, I mean bad things like wars and, terrorism and the thing that went on in Ferguson, Missouri and all that. There are some good things, And one of them I was thinking about this week is how well we communicate. We could have never done this 30 years ago.
Oh, no way.
Right?
Yeah.
Even 20 years ago, we couldn't have done this.
Yeah.
People wouldn't have emailed us. We would have never had contact with all the people like Adam, at Vegas Fanboy.
Yep.
That would have never happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And in some ways, the world is so much better because we can communicate and tell these stories and talk to each other. And you start to, some of the people who call or leave voicemails regularly, it's like you feel like you know them already, even though we've never met.
Sure.
And it's a great thing.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's so good. And, sharing stories about something you enjoy with other people who enjoy the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. As crappy as the world is, there are a lot of really good things.
That's very good. You're bringing a tear to my eye, Dr. Mike.
a gambling tear.
Yep.
But I thought about that driving to work this week, and I thought, what a great world.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a good world.
It's bringing people together.
Yeah. Now, if we could just win that fire bet again.
Oh, boy. It's starting.
Yep.
Right.
How long's it been? It's been like a couple of months since we won the fire bet almost.
All right. Good luck this weekend, Dr. Mike.
All right. I'm going to try hard.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.